This is the Ben Frank Connection presentation.
Hey.
What's going on? Hey. If you can't tell, our guest is not off screen. It's next to Ralph this time.
No. Yeah,
we are sort of live. I'm still in Jersey, but we are sort of live. They're sort of live together. We have Jim Murray on the show this week for Wrestling with Life. If you don't recall, he was on a bonus episode with Ralph, sans me,
you
a while ago.
Yes.
First time I actually speak to you, Jim. So, Jim, how are you?
I'm doing good, Parmesan. Nice to sort of video meet you, or
kind of, sort of virtual,
virtual
things.
So Jim is actually making history here because so not only is Jim our first non-wrestler repeating guest as making his second appearance, but he's also the first person to make an appearance on both Opinion City and Wrestling with Life.
That's very true. Very true.
It's a history-making episode.
Yeah, two-time podcasting champion.
Yeah,
two-time.
Don't worry. When we get our belt made, you'll be the first one to hold it. You'll be the first one to hold it. As the Opinion City podcasting champion, brother.
Yeah, you may eventually become a five-time champion. You never know. It's very possible.
So, for those who don't know me, I don't know because last time you spoke to Ralph. What is Jim Murray's story? Give us what we call on Opinion City, and we'll bring it to the Dust Jacket bio.
Right. Okay. Well, try to keep it simple. Yeah, it's a long, windy, sometimes terrible story. But
oh no.
But no, I went to Bloomsburg University years ago to be a history teacher, and that's where I met this guy Ralph. Our friend back in the day, and I was a lifelong wrestling fan and whatnot. And then long story, but I ended up teaching overseas.
Okay.
And I ended up teaching in China. And I was in like I had achieved a lot of things I wanted to do in my life, and it was the whole now what do I do?
Right.
And there was a wrestling organization called Middle Kingdom Wrestling, and they were putting on shows in the city I lived in at the time. And the owner his name's Adrian Gomez. He's an American, and I kind of was pestering him about let me do like some announcing work for you and stuff like that.
Right.
And he ended up letting me do a show. He let me announce the show in like the fall of it was like Halloween season of 2018.
Okay.
It was a Halloween Frenzy, the show was called. And then he really needed like a Chinese person to do the announcing because he was going for the Chinese audience. So he found a good announcer, does a great job. But fortunately for me, he kept me on to do like the interviews and stuff because there's a lot of foreign wrestlers over there. So I did a lot of, work interviews with the wrestlers and stuff like that. And I was just helping backstage and ringing the bell and stuff like that. So I live in southern China now, and I got to work with a handful of promotions, just, helping out backstage and, being the bellman and doing interviews and that kind of thing.
So other than
my wrestling story.
So other than your wrestling show tonight, what brings you back to the States?
Oh, it's a Chinese holiday right now. It's the Year of the Dragon.
Oh, okay.
I think it just started today or yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, because I teach at a school, and the last couple of weeks it was my winter break. I got to go back about a week from now. I'll be heading back.
Gotcha.
So this is February. This obviously probably won't air until March or maybe beyond. But this is being that we're in February here. We are attending a PPW show tonight, which is local to me here. So that'll be a good time.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So what's been going on since the last time we talked to you? What kind of stuff have you been involved in? Because you got some big stuff going on, don't you?
Remember, not
you. Just like 2 weeks ago, right when my vacation started, we had there was a big show in Shenzhen, which is a city close to where I live. It's a pretty big city. It's sort of close to Hong Kong.
Okay.
And it's where I forget the lady's name now, but there's a Chinese UFC fighter. She was like the champion in her weight class. So she was from Shenzhen.
Okay.
I can't remember her name. But anyway, so Middle Kingdom Wrestling, they did like before COVID, they would do a big event in Shenzhen in like December called Bash at the Bay.
Okay.
Because there's like in my city and Shenzhen in that area, there's like a Bay area there. So they call it the Bay. So then they haven't done this since COVID, but so this past just like 2 weeks ago, they did Bash at the Bay 3.
Oh, nice.
So they had a lot of hype for that and stuff like that. So I was helping out with that show and stuff, and yeah, they had a lot of names. They had Yoshi Tatsu who was in the WWE.
Okay,
he wrestled my friend Big Sam, and then they had a handful of Singapore wrestlers that were there. I hadn't seen them since like right before COVID started. I met them once before. They're really cool. There's a guy named Andrew Tang. He's really funny. He's a really funny guy. And then Alexis Lee, they're from the promotion down there. So I got to see them. I hadn't seen them in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And handful of other people I hadn't seen in a couple of years because COVID and whatnot. I saw Zombie Dragon. I hadn't seen him in about 2 years.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was a really fun show. And there's met a lot of cool people. I met this guy. He's an Italian guy. His name is Johnny. I think is Putini or something like that. I'm going to say his name wrong, but anyway, he like travels around the world with his wife and like he's like a wrestling referee, and that's like his thing. Like he just he traveled. He literally like travels the globe refereeing wrestling matches.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I guess like a month or so ago, he was in Asia and he somehow heard about Middle Kingdom Wrestling, and he got to be with us and referee a couple matches. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk to us about like your journey? How did you get involved with the wrestling world? Like, did you actively search for it, or did you just kind of find you?
No, I didn't. I didn't actively search for it. I sort of stumbled into it, but I was always a fan. I'm an '80s child. I was a Hulkamaniac and all that, and it was just like it was. I went back to Asia because I wanted to see the Olympics in Korea, where in 2018 the Winter Olympics were in Korea.
Right.
And long story short, I always liked the Winter Olympics and such. And I ended up taking a job in China. I couldn't get back into Korea. It was tougher to get a job there now. So I got this job in Harbin, China.
Gotcha.
And I had like, my winter holiday, like now. And like, then I got to go over there and see the Olympics, and that was really fun. And I came back, and it was that kind of phase of life. Like, well now what do I do? And And I traveled a lot already and stuff. And like I said, one of my coworkers just kind of casually mentioned that there was wrestling. I was like, what? Like, there's wrestling? Yeah. Like he just, it was like, what? There's wrestling in China? And he gave me Adrian. He gave me Adrian's contact info, and then I saw through his social media that he was promoting the wrestling event in Harbin.
Right.
And that first year there, they had like 3 shows in the spring. This would have been like spring of 18. And so I met him, and it was I just got the idea in my head, just let me do some announcing for you or stuff like that.
Right.
And then he didn't know me and stuff, and he didn't know if I was just some schmo or whatever.
Right.
He said he was planning a Halloween show.
Okay.
And he said if I was still around in Asia, which was a question at the time, he said if I was still going to be around, I could ring announce for that show. So I did it, and it was a blast. It was great.
Right.
And then like I said, then he got a Chinese announcer, and he kept me on for doing interviews and stuff. So I had a lot of fun just interviewing the guys, and sometimes getting beat up and whatever, and but yeah, it was fun. Just helping out with the backstage and putting up the ring and ringing the bell. Adrian kind of busts on me now. He says I'm the most in-demand bellman in Asia.
You should use that.
Yeah.
So you've actually taken bumps before?
I'm sorry, what?
So you've actually taken bumps before?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I took a crossface once, and that was
wow.
Oh
man.
It was
You get in the ring.
Yeah. It was fine until like the last 5 seconds. He was pulling a little hard. I was like, that's a little too much. But the rest of it was good. But yeah, sometimes like we'll do interviews and I'll like we'll talk about before and just said after you say something, just give me a shove or something. So yeah, it's all good.
Would you say that crossface is your worst bump, or is there something worse than that?
Oh boy,
worst one.
So, looking at some of the stuff you've done, and I had a chance to watch the video, but you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Wrestle Maps.
Right. Well, that was something that Adrian presented to me. Wrestle Maps is this like website where they have like a Google Maps thing, and there's the dots all over the world, and you can click on it and see like where there's a wrestling event.
Oh, that's really cool.
Literally like all over the planet.
That's awesome.
I guess this group, they did videos about wrestling in different spots, and like there's even wrestling in Antarctica.
Oh wow,
that's right. Crazy. So you could go on their website and see about that, and they, I guess, they have YouTube clips of different matches and all the promotions. So he, Adrian, Bash at the Bay 3 was like, I guess, sponsored by Wrestle Maps. That was one of the sponsors, and they did some co-promotion, and Adrian asked me to do like kind of behind the scenes vlogging and stuff like that.
Nice.
So I was just like backstage, or just talking to fans, talking to the wrestlers, and just like informal stuff like, hey, how you doing today? Tell us what how you like China, how you like being here and stuff, and so I shot like a bunch of footage, and then they edited it and they made like a 5-minute video, and it's on YouTube now. Like you can go on YouTube and watch it now. It's so it'd be like Wrestle Maps, the Wrestle Maps YouTube channel with Bash at the Bay 3, Jim Murray vlogging, whatever. So
there you go.
So, yeah, it was kind of
there you go. Check out WrestleMap.com to find all that stuff on there.
That was neat. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Talking about you a little bit, how long have you been living in China, and I've always wanted to know what's like the major differences living in China versus living in America.
Okay. Right. I went there. I went to Harbin in November of 2017.
Okay.
And but I've been in the city I live in now. It's called Zhuhai, and I've been there the last 2.5 years.
Gotcha.
Right.
So what kind of stuff do you do for entertainment over there? Like, what do you do for fun?
Right. Yeah. Well, there's a foreign community there. We try to do different stuff. Like we have like trivia night, and I had like a dart league for a bit and stuff like that. And karaoke is huge in Asia. They love karaoke.
Nice.
So.
And,
and it's traveling and stuff. Like I'm right by Hong Kong, so like it's easy for me to from Hong Kong to travel. Like we can get to like Southeast Asia easily and stuff like that.
Right.
And just I have different friends across China. So I go visit sometimes, and
cool.
Working for the post office, it's crazy seeing the addresses that like when you send out stuff to China.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy seeing the addresses because like I have to manually put it in the system,
right?
And it's like flat 3, lot 20. So I'm like, holy crap! like,
be confused by your own address.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. Yeah. Like, dude, it's detailed. It's like, in order to find your house, they have like the exact specific like flat 3, apartment 20. Like, it's so detailed. It's crazy like how detailed the address is just to find where someone is. Like, it's nuts. Like their addresses are like, to me, it's kind of like the opposite of us, where it's like the number first and then the street, whereas they're sort of like the apartment number then the street.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So
crazy.
Just wild.
All right. So, have you been keeping up much on American wrestling? Is that easy to do in China?
There are like online places where you can find out and stuff, and I just through social media and through through my friends and stuff like that. So I keep up with most of it. So I'm I'm aware of like the WrestleMania scene and what that looks like and everything, and I've heard some of the news. So
Are you disappointed by the injury of CM Punk?
I'm disappointed. I'm not surprised. That's a good, I'm not saying that to rag. Yeah, I'm not saying that to rag on him. I'm not, like I'm, I was a Punk fan. I'm not saying that to hate on him, but I mean, he's just a few years younger than me, and it's just, that's in AEW. He won the title and then he got injured and then he came back and he got injured again, and I mean, it's it's some shit luck. It's just
unfortunate. Like there's been 2 times now where he had a big comeback, and unfortunately, his body was like, nah.
Yeah.
Not today.
Yeah.
He's just like
I get injured making coffee in the morning. And this guy's out there wrestling.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But I was a fan. I used to be straight edge. I used to not drink. So I'm
same.
still kind of straight laced about drugs and stuff like that. So
right.
Sure.
I was like, oh, straight edge wrestler, cool. Like I dig it. So yeah.
Did you watch or hear much of his run in AEW?
Yeah. I saw like when he came back. I watched the match where he won the title the first time. I think I did see the second one, but yeah, I watched his promos and stuff like that. Yeah, like I remember his comeback promo. I really liked when he said about he's like all the wrestlers in the back, they're young and hungry, and he said something like like you're here now. I think he said something like I wish I wrestled with guys like you 10 years ago, but you're here now, so why shouldn't I be here?
Yeah,
I really stuck with me. That was really cool.
Yeah. I just love that how which is weird because now he's back there, but how he very much said August 13th, 2005, I left pro wrestling and whatever 2021 I'm back, but now he's back doing sports entertainment.
Yeah, he said because in AEW he said like I left this place that was making me sick, and then he comes back and he's like, oh, I'm home. It's like
it's so weird how it's crazy to me how wrestling works because the whole trope never say never is such a true but obnoxious statement because like things like this happen. You never would have thought that CM Punk would A, come back to wrestling, or B, go back to the WWE and wrestle. It's like
I was genuinely surprised that he came back. I remember my friend Big Sam, he sent me the clip of when he came back at Survivor Series, and I was like genuinely surprised.
Yeah, it was like genuine shock. Plus, I think it was also the way that they did it, like because you know how Triple H loves his lower third graphic. It's over.
Yeah,
psych.
Show's
it's
over.
Not
Right.
And I think I think a lot of wrestling fans were of the opinion like, oh, I could see it happening. I think it's going to happen. But until it actually happened, until you legit saw him on the screen, there was always that little bit of doubt there. Yeah. Like you could never believe because of how bad things ended.
Yeah,
I mean, I listened to. I still have a copy of the because I think it's been taken down all over the internet, but I still have a copy of the Colt Cabana podcast where he literally detailed everything, and I remember listening to that, thinking to myself, like, this is it. Like this guy's never gonna have anything to do with wrestling again. So even seeing him come back to AEW, I think was a huge surprise.
It was wild.
Yeah, definitely a crazy time in wrestling. Did you heard much about the Vince McMahon stuff?
Yes, I have.
He's like, I don't want to know.
And it just keeps getting worse.
It's only going to get worse.
I read more reports the last 2 days about
anything that happened in the last week. I don't know about, but I know like if that news broke, like we are at Bash at the Bay, like setting up in the ring and shit, like while that was breaking.
Oh really?
So
wow.
Yeah. So like that was like. So, but anything just if there's anything new this past week, I don't know about it.
Yeah,
it just gets me worried. Not that it's gonna kill wrestling because it's been through worse.
It's tainting it,
but it's definitely gonna put a bad stamp on wrestling, which I don't think has been done since the steroid trials in like
yeah. And I'm just a little concerned now because here we are. WWE is building this new era. Triple H is finally being put in charge of things. TKO is there. There's supposed to be all these, plans in where WWE is headed. And I'm concerned to see who else is going to fall in this. Right. Because, I feel like a lot of very Vince McMahon centric people are going to get caught up in this.
Yeah.
And I just,
who else was guilty and stuff.
Yeah.
I know. Exactly.
It makes me sad to think about, like what names are we going to hear where we're just going to be like, I can't believe this person was involved. Like it's going to be sad more than anything.
Right. Oh yeah.
Just because
it's going to be heartbreaking
break your heart.
to know the people that you've idolized for so long are not what you thought they were.
Right.
So
and we want to say that, like, also, like, just to the victim, that our prayers go out to the victim.
Of course.
I hope they get the treatment they need and that justice is done and everything. And
of course.
Yeah. Anytime you have victims in these things, it's just the recovery time and just everything that happens after it comes out. It's so critical for these people to just get better. And so thoughts and prayers to everyone involved. these are never. I mean, there's hundreds of victims in these things.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how many people, how many people in the McMahon family are victims of this now, just because.
Because I think was his granddaughter is in college now or something.
His grandson just signed a football contract with he signed with some university. I was just looking at it this morning. Shane McMahon's son.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The one who incredibly was I was just watching the WrestleMania 20 promo video from the other day where they talk about where it all starts again, and there's like Vince and Shane's holding his newborn son who now is signing in college. Yeah,
that's crazy.
It is crazy to think about.
I think Shane's son was on one of the recent Raws or SmackDowns. Like he made an appearance. He was in the crowd and hand to him.
Yeah.
And then and I think they even mentioned his name. Like, oh, he's from so and so.
Yeah.
Supposedly he may or may not actually become a part of the wrestling world and actually train to become a wrestler.
I've heard something about that. Yeah. So
when Shane wrestled Undertaker, like he brought his kids out when he came down.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was really cool too.
They're in the entrance. That's right. Yeah. That's pretty neat.
At least he didn't bust his knee as when he faced the Miz and instantly regretted it.
I wanted to say with the thing about this terrible situation is that like there's not just like one person that made the NFL. There's not one person that made baseball, but like you think about wrestling, like for our generation and our childhoods and stuff, like Vince made wrestling, so it's just like that whole thing's
it was Vince.
I said to Ralph last time I was on, I said like, not to get too personal, but like I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. One of the only things my dad ever did for me is he took me to see Andre the Giant when I was a kid.
Wow. Well, there you go.
And so that's like for all of us, that's like our wrestling was our childhood. And
it was mine, I mean, I'm still going with it. I never stopped, but it was I grew up on it. Yeah. So like it's crazy to know like what's gonna come out or like what's next. And it's one of those things where like, yes, we thank you, Vince, for giving us this crazy world of wrestling, but also like
really
no.
Like I was talking about this with a friend this past week, and it's the Spider-Man thing. With great power comes great responsibility, and Vince had great power, and like this woman, it's like her parents had passed, and she was in a bad way financially and stuff. And he like in that realm, he turned her life around and gave her a job and stuff.
Yeah,
so he had that power, but he had that power, and then he abused it. Yeah. And sorry to say, but it's such a Vince thing too that like. There's so many celebrities that did horrible things to, to women, but it's like, Vince has to be like the worst, Vince, it's like, it's like the worst stuff you've ever heard, it's like,
Vince is like life on 11.
Yeah.
He's got to do it bigger, better, and badder than anyone else.
Worse, more terrible.
Bigger, better, and badder now has a terrible connotation to it. I just thought of that.
Yeah.
Just all of the above.
He definitely did it better than everyone else. Ever did, so.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Can there be someone from our childhood that wasn't horrible, please?
Yeah, how about it?
That's the thing. Like, if you think about it, most of our childhood heroes probably weren't herours.
Yeah. Like what? I mean, if I may go off into small tangent,
go ahead.
One of my earliest memories was I'm going to bring up Bill Cosby. He had a special. He had a comedy special called Bill Cosby Himself.
Yeah.
And one of my it's hilarious. And one of my earliest memories is like watching that with my mom on TV, and my mom and I just laughing together about it, and my mom and I would like tell the jokes to each other. And stuff like that. And now it's like like the night he did that show, he probably went and did horrible shit.
Boy.
Yeah.
Just like jeez.
Where's the mute button?
Right.
We were just talking about on the previous Wrestling Life episode about how your buddy Ralph there is a huge Cosby fan. Was always a huge Cosby fan. So you're walking on thin ice there, buddy.
He was America's dad.
I have the Cosby Show on DVD downstairs. We watch it all the time.
It's probably valuable now. They took it off.
You can't.
Yeah, it's nowhere now. Oh no, it's gone. It's which makes you wonder if all this comes out about Vince. Will they just wipe the network off the face of the planet? We're done.
I know,
right? Wipe it.
Yeah, I wonder if they killed. Is it possible that the Netflix deal will get killed?
I mean, that's a good question too.
Well,
that's a good question.
Here's something interesting that I saw this morning on that very topic. If you watched the WrestleMania press conference, Michael Cole said that Pat McAfee was undefeated at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That means that they're ignoring the loss to Vince McMahon. So
they are. Yeah, they are. It's already started.
It's already started.
And the same goes for Brock, who was mentioned. Right. Brock has been removed from Supercard, which is a phone app game. He's in the process of being removed from the newest, not even out yet,
the 2K game,
2K24 game. They're trying to remove him. So technically speaking, and I said this to somebody the other day, and they got sad, but it's true. Technically speaking, Reigns was the one that ended Taker's streak.
The streak, right?
Yeah. Well, and now here's something I found that was interesting, and it's not about like that, but it does have to do with like WWE. So during the WrestleMania kickoff press conference, when they were when Triple H came out at the beginning and they were showing the video about all the like WrestleMania stuff, I was very surprised that in that video they showed Daniel Bryan, who was now a huge star in AEW.
Yep.
They showed Sasha Banks, who basically told them the pound sand 12 ways to Sunday. I was just very shocked that here in this, because the press conference was supposed to be like this big, huge thing. And here they're showing this video and they're putting those two in there now. The most recent report I read is that Sasha Banks has been signed to AEW this whole time and they're just keeping her off of TV. But I don't know. I just thought it was weird because that's not something we would have ever seen before. We would have never seen them mentioned. And somebody, I think it was during the press conference, I'm not 100% sure, but somebody mentioned Sasha Banks and said her name, Sasha Banks. So I was like, this is really strange to me that
I think what's happening now is that I think now that Vince is like officially resigned, right? I think Triple H is now becoming more comfortable bringing in guys from like TNA and mentioning people that were actually before erased that are now like more like sort of back in the WWE lore, if you will. Like Brian's back in the lore, Sasha's back in the lore,
right? Well,
like,
and
they're bringing them back in because I feel like with Vince, that Vince wanted to just erase them, but Triple H is like, no, I sort of trained these guys. Like I trained Sasha and NXT. No, I'm gonna bring their names back because they were important to our history.
Yeah. Well, I think at this point, if they wanted, they're probably going to have their pick of the litter of TNA stars because they're all upset over Scott D'Amore getting fired.
Well, that's a whole other thing because what I've been reading about that is that Anthem's trying to save costs. So whoever Scott may have rehired, they might get released.
Which is funny because he tried to buy TNA before he left. Did you see that report?
Yes. Which they should have just given it to him because this new guy, apparently similar to Dixie, has no prior wrestling knowledge other than what TNA is. Even though Dixie had some knowledge because Dixie at least did like merch stuff. So she had a little bit of knowledge, but this new dude has apparently zero knowledge of wrestling.
I think WWE would be smart to bring Scott D'Amore in.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought that was when the first moment I heard he was fired, that was the first thing I thought of. I'm like, they should bring him on board.
He has such a mind for us, dude. In my eyes, he was TNA. There's no one that can replace the face now. He was actively trying to save and retcon TNA, and he was doing, in my eyes, so well. And then they're like, "Nope, you're fired. Get out."
See, now you're lucky. So you don't have to worry about all this nonsense over there in China. Like Middle Kingdom Wrestling is Middle Kingdom Wrestling. Like you don't have guys getting fired and like it's not big scandals and nothing like that. You just have to worry about like am I going to see Yoshitatsu this week?
Right. Yeah. Speaking of China, how is the crowds different from like here to there? Like is it the same like live loud crowds or are they more like reserved and quiet?
They're getting there. There was a thing in Harbin with like kind of educating the crowd of like what wrestling is.
Right.
So they would do like before shows, they would kind of do like a demonstration where somebody would speak Chinese and say like, explain like what a pinfall is and explain what a submission is and kind of explain like the, cheer for the good guys and who are the bad guys. And so it's kind of educating the audience. Yeah.
Well, because like, for instance, in New Japan for a while, now it's gotten better, but for a while, you watch a show there, a 3-hour show, and it's mostly silence and then clapping.
Right. Yeah, they're very reserved.
They're very reserved, which is cool because I think that makes it a little more intimate.
It's different, yeah.
But like when someone does a big spot, there's no cheering. It's just quiet.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's when you would clap and like cheer. They did a big spot. Right. Yay. At least that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
So like, but like they're just very reserved. They just clap and applaud and watch. You know.
Yeah. They were cheering and and the Chinese audience. Yeah, they're like they cheer and holler and stuff like that. And then there's a lot of foreigners there too. So there's a good mix of foreigners. So they'll get really into it. And so yeah.
I got you.
So you talk about like this, community of foreigners. So there are a lot of people that are maybe American or that's a big thing there.
Where I live specifically, there's a lot of British people.
Oh,
gotcha.
Yeah,
right.
A few French, some Canadians, and there's a mix. And it's kind of like since COVID, like the numbers went down a lot, but now it's starting to come back a little bit. Now the travel restrictions are gone and stuff. So
they still wearing masks over there?
No. And for just as a footnote to that, and for a long time in Asia, it was like if you just had a cold, it was normal to wear a mask.
Oh, okay.
Like when
I didn't.
Gotcha. Yeah, like when I taught in Korea, 10, 15 years ago, that was totally normal. Like if you were sick one day, you just put a mask on. You just wore a mask? Yeah. See, but they're not, as I'm thinking about it, I guess like some public servants, like if you go in the bank or if like the bus driver, they'll wear a mask, but you don't like have to wear a mask out in public anymore.
See, why don't we adopt these smart policies that you guys do? That should have been our thing the whole time before COVID even started. If you're sick, just wear a mask. Yeah. That's it. Just protect others and yourself. If you don't want to and you want to get others sick, that's on you. Right. That's not on the people.
So, and this is a question about life in China, but what kind of food do you eat over there? Do you eat very Americanized food, or are you like eating Chinese food exclusively?
It's a mix, yeah.
Right.
I'm not so into seafood, so like where I live, like Cantonese food is a lot of seafood, but no, like other Chinese food will eat a lot of like dishes with like where it's like a soup with noodles and meat and vegetables and things like that. A lot of stuff like that. And in the northern China, they're more big on barbecue. So I ate a lot of barbecue up there. Yeah,
nice.
A lot of meat on the
That's
stick
awesome.
and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that was good stuff.
That's my idea of a good time.
And then there's like it's internet, like you can find like an Indian restaurant or Italian restaurant and things of that nature. Yeah, and then there's like fast food if you want it. I don't eat McDonald's in America. I'm not going to eat it overseas. But if you want like Burger King, you can get it there.
But I've always been curious to try because everywhere you go, there's a different fast food menu for a different
well, it doesn't matter. He doesn't try any of them.
He hasn't tried any of them. But
not McDonald's.
But that's what I would do. Is if I would travel the world, I would want to try just try different dishes from each fast food just to see what's their main fast food version of like what their main dish is. I would just be curious because I've seen some places where they've had like a burger that I'm like, oh, that sounds actually really good,
right?
Because it's different from our normal plain Jane McDonald's burger.
Interesting. So, all right. So what else is kind of going on over there, wrestling wise? What's the scene like? Is it more than just like Middle Kingdom Wrestling? Do they have like?
Yeah, there's a few other promotions. Yeah, it's in the next city over from where I live. There's an organization called King of Pro Wrestling, and I did a handful of events with them.
Gotcha.
I did an event with them this past fall. It was in Fuzhou, which is like Kung Fu City.
Oh,
right.
That's close to where I live. There's also shows in Hong Kong. I just as a fan, I attended a show in Hong Kong. So they have that going on there, and there's a new promotion starting up. It's they're going to do a show in Shanghai.
Oh, cool.
In early March, they're going to do that. So I'm going to work that show.
Nice.
So that'll
That's
be fun.
Cool.
I haven't been to Shanghai in a few years, so it should be fun.
Nice. Go ahead.
I was just saying, what's your favorite part about living in China?
Oh, that's a good question.
Just all the different people you get to meet. Like I met just living overseas in general. You meet people from all over the world.
Right.
So they make good friends in different countries and stuff. So then like when I travel, I have somebody I can go to see.
Right.
Like I went to their big holiday is the first week of October. And I went to New Zealand. I saw like the Shire and all that stuff.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Stuff.
That's real cool.
I had a friend, like I had a wrestling friend, who is a New Zealander, but he lived in Harbin for a bit. So his wrestling name was Tommy Combat. So I got to meet. he married a Chinese woman in Harbin, and they have a family. They're living their lives in New Zealand now. So
right.
I got to see them. I hadn't seen them in a couple of years, so he showed me around a bit and stuff. So yeah, just living overseas. That's kind of like what I really like about it is just all the different people you meet. The city I live in now in Zhuhai, it's a really nice city. It's by the ocean, and
cool.
it's warm most of the year and stuff like that. And I got a good job. I got decent kids to work with and stuff like that. So yeah.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from I'm from Shamokin, Pennsylvania.
Okay, not far from where Ralph is. I got you.
Right.
Yeah. So
we're high school football rivals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I got you.
About 12 minutes away from each other. Not bad.
Right.
So speaking of Shamokin, just exclusively for a minute, also the home of professional wrestler and brewery owner Tony Deppen.
Yes.
So what if anything do you miss about living in Shamokin?
Okay.
Coney Island and Middlesworth chips.
Oh, the best answers.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
I like that Coney Island because they had like the little the little sodas in the bottles.
Yeah,
like the 50
yeah.
cent sodas or whatever.
And that's out of Catawissa, which is right by
Catawissa Brewing Company. Yeah.
I always get that when I come in. Yeah.
Middlesworth chips are good.
Yeah.
I would miss Gears tea. That would be heartbreaking for me.
Things I have not experienced yet is chips.
No, we gotta give you a proper Pennsylvania
bring me.
introduction.
Gotta properly break me in. I've been there now twice. Now.
Listen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring you in and we're gonna take you over to the Skook with ABJ and we're gonna get you set up with all the stuff you need to know about Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And then you can teach us about Jersey. Although I know a little bit about Jersey.
You know a little.
I have family living there, but
where are you from in Jersey?
The Jersey Shore. Even though I was just telling Ralph before we got on the air.
Jersey Shore, like where DDP's from, you mean?
Yeah, around.
No, he's
there.
from Point Pleasant. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's where I was born.
You were born in Point Pleasant.
Well, that's my my hometown. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But
first time I ever saw the ocean was in Point Pleasant.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was just telling Ralph before we got on the air. I was like, I just discovered, and it annoys me because you're PA, that there is a Jersey Shore, PA. That should not be. The Jersey Shore should be in Jersey, not in PA.
It's a great source of contention.
Right. Yeah.
I was very upset about this.
There's also a Moscow, PA, and
is there really?
I think there's a Dallas. Is there a Dallas?
There is a Dallas, PA.
Dallas, PA.
Yeah, but
and don't forget, if we're going to talk about places in Pennsylvania, you can't forget about Intercourse. You know?
Right, of course. I mean, of course.
Intercourse, PA. Oh yeah, no, let's not get. All right, we're done.
Sponsored by Blue Chew, right?
Yeah. Moving on.
Yes. Show's canceled. We're now canceled. That's it. We're done.
We'll be right back in 2 weeks. No.
Hashtag cancel Jim Murray.
Hashtag cancel Jim Murray.
Yeah, and Intercourse is the most unassuming. Right. Like it's the most backwards name for a place ever because it's like all Amish people.
Oh, is it?
What's out in like Lancaster? I think it's near Lancaster. So
no, I could be mistaken. I think it's toward Pittsburgh.
Oh no, we're gonna have to find out.
We have to look it up.
All right,
look it up.
Talk amongst yourselves. Sean, ask a good question.
Oh man! So,
right.
what's some of your favorite wrestling shows that you've been to, whether it be in the States or out of the States?
All right. Well, I always remember seeing Andre the Giant. I mean, that's
that's probably number one.
In retrospect, it's like, wow, that's really amazing. Yeah.
Is he that much bigger in person?
Yeah.
Like seeing him live.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty amazing. I really like the first show I worked at, the Halloween show. That was a really fun show because they had like Halloween themed stuff going on, and I remember they had some triple threat match. It was a Halloween frenzy match where like any Halloween object could be used.
Oh wow!
And then they had there was a wrestler Jalapeno Lopez. He was a lucha.
Love that name.
Wrestler.
Love that name.
And he used they did this bit. It was really funny where he used a piñata against the wrestler.
Yes.
But the referee told him, no, you can't use that because that's not a Halloween object.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I guess I can see that.
Funny bit. Right? They did MKW did like right before I left Harbin, they did like a handful of shows that were taped together with they had a tag team belts. They had a tag team tournament for the crown, like the inaugural tag team champions, which I think might have been the first tag team in China, like tag team belts in China.
Oh, wow.
I was like tag team wrestling, so for me, it was really cool to be part of that.
Are they not big in like tag team wrestling over there?
I think wrestling in general is just kind of a new scene.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't know if they really had their own wrestling like 10, 20 years ago. Like I think it's kind of like a new thing.
Right.
It's a new market.
Yeah, and with the overall globalization of WWE,
yeah,
I mean, there's nothing to say that we could not see some, WWE events happening in China.
Yeah, I could see them doing a show in Shanghai or in Shenzhen and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I was reading like forever ago they had plans before COVID to like really do like NXT Japan, NXT UK.
Right.
They wanted to do like a literally global NXT brand.
They still have UK, right?
No,
they don't.
UK was done, but now most of the UK guys are either in an NXT or on the main roster.
So it's just NXT now.
Now
it's just
NXT is just one brand now. But they had plans, and I think they still have plans at some point to once again globalize and make like NXT Japan,
and
NXT UK, NXT Europe, like go.
And they did have a Chinese wrestler in the Cruiserweight Classic. It's not like there's not.
That was the Ho Ho Lun.
Yeah.
To be Ho Ho Lun. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
I remember seeing about him like, oh, that's kind of cool how he did that. He like started wrestling in like Hong Kong, I think, and then so he worked in MKW shit. Like I met him a few times now actually, but yeah, he works the shows over there. I got to meet him. So that was fun.
That's very cool.
I was going to say something I forgot.
Well, this show probably isn't coming out until at least March, but I have to say there is breaking news. I was just on the internet, and there is breaking news that I have to break right now. Are you ready? Brace yourselves.
Nope, I'm scared.
Intercourse, PA is 23 minutes from Lancaster.
I was wrong.
Hey,
breaking
news.
Yes, just wanted to throw
I know there was intercourse somewhere.
It was somewhere. Yeah, it was there. Would you be interested if they brought NXT over to Japan? Would you be interested if seeing them do that?
Oh yeah, it'd be really fun. I mean, that's Japan's a trek for me to get to, but yeah. I mean, I definitely check that. I remember what I was going to say. I know at one point, like before COVID, just like a few years ago, they had WWE tryouts in China. I think.
Oh yes,
that's right.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. But I knew some foreigners that they'd inquired about it, like non Chinese wrestlers, but they were saying they were specifically looking for Chinese wrestlers.
Well,
and I don't know if they pulled anybody out of that or not.
Yeah, because that was all part of the plan. Was again, they wanted to really build like. It was almost as if NXT was going to be its own like dynasty. Like it was going to be NXT Japan, NXT China, NXT UK.
Cool. Well, if
NXT Australia.
If you ask some of the independent promotions in the UK at the time when NXT UK was rolling through, they were under the belief that WWE was essentially trying to destroy the independent markets in those areas and take over. Mm-hmm. However, I feel like now the overall thought of independent wrestling has changed throughout WWE. I mean, just in some of the comments that Michael Cole has made on air, and in just the way they kind of look at things, I feel like now it's more of a, let's promote things that are going on there now. Like let's
promote wrestling.
I think it's a whole different ball game now.
I think since Vince
that's exciting
stepped down, they're really, like I said earlier, they're really like stepping out of the comfort zone and really doing things that you would never see them do 10 years ago. Like bringing in other stars from outside companies, even mentioning an outside company's business name. You would never hear them say TNA 10 years ago. They wouldn't even. They didn't even know that they. Not that they didn't know they existed, but they acted like they didn't exist 10 years ago. Now it's like, oh hey, TNA has a champion. Her name's Jordynne Grace. Welcome.
Sure.
Like it's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's literally like, even now, like just how much wrestling we can watch on TV other than just the one. Like we have to say how, because we have to do it for obviously the podcast, but how hard it is to watch a full week of wrestling, because there's literally a full week
every night
of wrestling every night.
You got something to watch every night.
And it's
it's
almost
it's tough to keep up.
It's almost too good to be a wrestling fan right now because there's too much to watch.
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we had 2, now we have like 16.
Yeah. What's on Tuesday night?
NXT.
Oh, right. So Monday's Raw, Tuesday's NXT, Wednesday's
so we have
AEW.
Raw, NXT,
What's
AEW,
Thursday then?
Impact, aka TNA.
Oh, Impact's Thursday.
Yeah.
Also,
TNA's.
also ROH is on Thursdays.
Right.
So ROH and TNA, and then Friday is SmackDown and Rampage, and then Saturday is Collision and or a PLE, and then Sunday is PLE. So it's like you literally have a full week
Yeah.
of
It's
something
It's
to
like
watch.
1999 all over again.
Yeah.
And coming this spring, WWE just announced they're adding a new show that's going to be exclusively on Twitter called
yep.
WWE Speed. And they've already taped episodes because I've seen pictures from the tapings.
Yeah.
And people that were at the tapings didn't understand what the concept was. But basically what it is they're going to have it's going to be shorter segment shows on Twitter, and every match is limited to 5 minutes. Like they actually have a 5-minute clock, like on the Titantron. They have like a 5-minute clock
It's a
running
wrestling
down.
show made for social media.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much, it's what it is. It's a wrestling show made for Twitter.
But it's gonna feature a lot of talent you don't see on TV. too.
Yeah, which would be good for them because they get a little bit of more of a spotlight on them. You know.
Yeah, I think that'll be interesting. I don't know why they're doing that. I think they should just bring back Velocity and be done with it. I'm like the only person on. I'm like the only person.
You're
talking
such a
about
Velocity fan. You're the biggest
I
Velocity
don't know
fan
why,
I know.
you know?
You love
Yeah.
Velocity.
I just.
Ralph would be hosting Velocity content.
That's right. Listen, I've already made jokes about live streaming Velocity on the WWE network and having watch-alongs.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the 0 people that would attend it would love it.
Would love it. Would love
Yeah.
Velocity.
I'm gonna do that just to do it one of these days.
Just
I'm
to
gonna
do
make
it.
up. Yeah, we're gonna live stream Velocity and see what happens.
Just a random
Boy.
episode of Velocity. I mean,
Yep.
isn't that where
I'll
you
be talking to
saw
myself.
like a bunch of the faces that listen, Velocity? You saw all the faces that you didn't know we're not gonna actually be signed. Like I'm pretty sure Ambrose was one of those names, and he had pink hair, not brown hair.
Yeah.
It was almost like his tryout, but he never made it until years later. But same with like Daniel Bryan, he had a match on Velocity, and obviously he didn't show up until like 8 years later. But like people,
Yeah, I'm
that you
pretty
didn't-
sure.
it's crazy.
I'm pretty sure there. I might be getting this wrong, but I'm pretty sure I thought there was a young Brock Lesnar on Velocity.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
I remember London
Cena?
Kendrick on Velocity.
Young
I remember
Cena before he was Cena.
Paul Burchill
Yeah.
doing the pirate gimmick.
Yeah.
Because Velocity was basically taped. I think it was taped either before or right after SmackDown, but it was the old Fist set. So it would be like the Fist set with green lighting and the Velocity logos. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know where Velocity. I don't know where my love for Velocity came from, but
Did you watch it every Saturday?
I mean, I watched it quite a bit. Like I can't lie. I didn't watch it as much as like WWF Superstars.
Oh, of course.
But you know, listen, if I could get all the old episodes, and I would just have watch-alongs for like the Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon segments.
Oh yeah,
that's
right
just,
on.
you know,
That's like gold right there.
yeah. Oh, so good.
So
yeah, boy,
getting
this
back
has
to
gone
you,
off the
Jim.
rails.
Getting
Yeah.
back to you, Jim. What are some of your favorite wrestlers that you've watched growing up?
Oh, your favorite.
Right. Oh, well, I was a Hulkamaniac. I like the Ultimate Warrior.
Other than Hogan.
Yeah. I like Tito Santana. You know, I met Ralph and I went to Redding's minor league ball game, and they had like wrestling night. And Tito Santana was there. I got to meet him. So that was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I liked him. I like Bret Hart. I like the Rockers. What's it? Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Yeah,
Of course.
liked him a lot. Yeah.
Legendary.
So, yeah.
I know one wrestler you did not like, because we talk about this all the time, and you tell me all the time that you absolutely dislike Mike Awesome.
Really? You don't like
No,
Mike
he's trolling
Awesome?
me. No, he's trolling me.
He loves Mike Awesome.
I was gonna say.
You know, the fat chick thriller. You love all those gimmicks. That 80s guy, that 70s guy.
No, I watched. I didn't see it at the time, but like after the fact, I watched like a bunch of the old ECW stuff, and I saw him on there. I was like, wow, this guy's amazing.
His ECW career was pretty amazing.
It was pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. My dream match that, you know, like this is one people don't talk about, and I guess they'll never talk about now, was the Mike Awesome and Lesnar. I think
Oh yeah.
that would be fun, but
Right.
Yeah.
We never know.
Awesome.
Never know.
Yeah.
So all right. So here's a good question for you. Since you were a Rockers fan, who was the actual leader of the Rockers? Was it Shawn Michaels or Marty Jannetty?
Wow.
Hey.
Yes.
Well, I think history itself answers that question. So.
Thank you.
Right.
You know, we have to make sure that we get our good friend Joey Bright to listen to this podcast so he can hear your opinion on that, because
he's a Marty Jannetty.
He is a huge Marty Jannetty fan. His Marty Jannetty fandom is only second to his Owen Hart fandom. He is literally the biggest Owen Hart fan I've ever seen in my entire life. But he mistakenly took Marty's side in all of this, and
I mean, honestly, can you
his
imagine?
heart went through the plate glass window like Marty did.
I mean, I've said this before, and so have you, Ralph. But like, can you imagine Owen Hart if he was still in the ring now?
Yeah,
there's just the matches that he would have.
Yeah,
with
guys like Daniel Bryan and
dude.
And
he would have killed it.
Yeah,
now because there's so many good wrestlers that he could have faced off against that would have matched his same style.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's interesting. I brought this up before when we were talking about Owen Hart, but Bret Hart did an interview on Chris Jericho's podcast, and he told this story about how at WrestleMania 10, the match that we saw between him and Owen was not the match they originally planned. Bret and Owen sat down and they put together this match, and Bret said, if you would have seen this match, I mean, this match made an absolute superstar out of Owen, and he's like, you would have been shocked. To see like how good Owen really was. And we brought the match to WWF and they said no.
Wow.
So we ended up going with the match that we came up with. But yeah, Owen Hart was one of those, once in a lifetime talents.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just never really got his due, but
no.
From all accounts that I hear, he was the kind of guy that never would have wanted it anyways. Like he didn't need that kind of stuff. But
he was all about his family and stuff.
Yeah. It's just
he was very much family.
Just a shame.
He was very much family oriented, and he was like, I do wrestling, but like it's for the family.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
he didn't do it for the fame. He did it because he wanted to support his family, and that's why he did it. So like, good for him.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I was going to say when you were trolling me about Mike Awesome, I thought you were going to say Rick Martel, because does Parmesan know my Rick Martel story?
I don't believe so.
I don't.
You should, and the
wrestling
with Life audience doesn't know it either. So let's hear it.
If you heard the story already, sorry, but yeah. So my generation was like the last generation to like believe in wrestling. Like you all know what I mean. So
it's still weird to me.
My mother was a big sports fan,
right?
And she didn't like wrestling. So I'm watching wrestling, and my mom's like, why are you watching this stuff? They're not really fighting each other and all that, And so Tito Santana and Rick Martel, they were the tag team champions, and they lost to Demolition.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point in one of the, I don't know if it's when they lost the title or whatever, but one of the matches, Demolition, one of the guys, they hit Rick Martel in the head with the chair.
Oh,
and then Martel was off of wrestling for like a year.
Oh, wow.
And the announcers were saying that Rick Martel had a concussion.
Right.
So my mom was like, why are you watching this wrestling? And she's saying like it's not real. And I said, well, no, like wrestling is real because Rick Martel has a concussion. And like if wrestling wasn't real, Rick Martel wouldn't have a concussion and he'd be on TV. So I thought that it must be true.
Yes.
Right. So when years later when Ralph and I met Tito Santana, I told him this story, and he the truth was that Rick Martel, like in real life, his wife had gotten some illness or something, and Rick wanted to take time off to be with his wife. So it was an age-old mystery solved. But yeah, when I was a child, I was like, well, no, wrestling they must be really fighting each other.
I had the exact same story,
business,
but even worse. But the match was worse, which is why I was like, listen, because my parents, my whole family thinks I'm crazy for even still being a wrestling fan. They thought that it was a phase, and like when I was like 12 or 13, I had figures, and they're like, oh, garbage, it's time, it's over. And I'm like, no, what? I was like, how can you say that? That's the kid show when you watched me watch Mankind versus Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match,
right?
And Taker throw Mankind off the cell. Yeah. That was fake.
Yeah, that was not fake. A kid's match. Yeah,
that was fake. I was like, you want to tell me that was staged?
Yeah.
Please tell me how that was staged.
Yeah. Well, that's what my friend Big Sam says. I have a neighbor kid that's a big wrestling fan, and I got my friend Big Sam. He's a British wrestler. He's been in MKW for a while. But anyway, I got him to talk to my the neighbor kid.
Right.
And there's something he said that stuck with me. Sam said, gravity's real.
Yeah.
Gravity's not
100%.
fake.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he was telling the neighbor kids, like pick this pencil up and drop it. Like what happens? It falls and hits the ground.
It falls. Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, good. Yeah. I was watching wrestling in a time where all it was blood and violence, and my parents thought that was a phase. I'm like, no, this definitely wasn't made for kids.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah.
If anything, it's more made for kids now than it was when I was growing up.
PG era, right.
So the moral of the story here is that Rick Martel, it's still real to him. Dan.
Exactly.
So
That's so real to me.
listen, if anybody, if Rick Martel happens to hear this, or anybody out there who happens to hear this knows how to get a hold of Rick Martel, we would love to have him on to talk about his concussion angle. So please reach out to Rick Martel.
It's all your fault, Rick Martel.
It's all your fault, Rick.
OpinionCityPod@gmail.com. We would love to have you on to talk about this. So we have, as you see rolling across the bottom of the screen there, we have an Instagram handle, Hard Goal Studios, and we've got a website address there, jemer.wordpress.com. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what people can find on there?
Right. Well, that's my blog. I do writing as a hobby.
Nice.
A lot of stuff, not really wrestling related, but I have some fiction on there and some. I used to do a lot of movie reviews and just random essays and stuff.
Right.
I did an interview with Zombie Dragon at one point.
Okay.
That's on there, and it's just kind of really random stuff. But I also I got connected with an artist a Filipino artist, and he did like a webcomic for me. So that's on my Instagram. And he has some other stuff like that I'm working on. I think I talked to Ralph about it last time, but I'm working on I want to do like a novel that's like set in like a wrestling novel in the territory days.
Nice.
And I was thinking about some different ideas for that. I might try to do a comic out of it, but something when I get back to work and like in the spring, I'm going to try to go through my notes and just kind of get that going again.
Very cool.
So I want to do some like wrestling, like fiction, kind of make my own little fictional world of wrestlers and stuff.
That's really cool.
So
that sounds like a lot of fun. I would read that.
Right. Thank you. Right.
That's awesome.
I'll be at some point I'll have some of that in my blog, but it's my blog's on this thing there. WordPress.com, JEMURR.
Nice.
So as always, please make sure that you are supporting Mr. Murray here.
Yep.
Make sure that you're supporting his work and everything that he does.
Two-time.
Yes. Two-time Ben Frank Connection podcast.
And I'm a history teacher, so
he's a history teacher. Look at that.
There you go. Look at that.
There's all kinds of cool stuff.
This angle writes itself.
This ain't right.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, when we get that belt made, which I will make sure that we find a way to get it made.
All right.
We will have to send you.
Yeah. We'll make sure you're we'll do a whole thing with you as the reigning champion. All right. Well, so if you're enjoying what we're doing here, of course, if you're on Patreon, you're seeing this on Monday, and we thank you for being a Patreon supporter. If you're not on Patreon, you are seeing this on Friday and on our YouTube channel. So if you like what we're doing, there is a super easy and free way to make to support us and help us continue to do these great shows that we're doing. So it's really simple. Really simple. Number one, hit that thumbs up button to tell us you enjoy this video. Number two, hit that subscribe button. Smash that subscribe button so you know everything that we're doing. See everything we're doing. And then finally hit that share button, tell all your friends and family, let them know.
In the street,
That's right. Tell anybody you see.
Fly out to China, meet a stranger and say, hey, there's a show called Opinion City, and there's a guy that named Jim Murray. Go watch that episode.
So if you wanna support us in some other ways, you really like what we're doing, buy some merch.
Buy our merch.
Down in the link is the description.
Just dropped today for Mania Week.
Brand new merch.
Brand new merch just dropped. Buy that.
Yep. So absolutely go check out all our merch sites. Again, description in the link below. A link in the description below. Excuse me.
Yes.
Make sure you're following us at Opinion City Pod so you don't miss anything that we do.
Nope.
And make sure you follow us at Ben Frank Connect so you can see everything that we're doing, and you can get other great shows like Opinion podcast. City, like ABJ's podcast, the Tornado Tag podcast. You don't want to miss any of that. And finally, of course, as we've mentioned multiple times, please follow and support our guests.
Yes.
We love having them on. We love everything that they do. So show them a little love as well.
Show them some love and respect.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's going to wrap up this edition of Wrestling with Life. We want to thank our very special guest, the two-timer Jim Murray.
Two-timer.
The
Two-timer.
Two-time BFC podcast guest, Jim Murray, once again joining us. He flew in. Ladies and gentlemen, don't let him fool you at all. He flew in from China specifically for this.
Exactly.
Do not let him
100%.
tell you otherwise. This is why he came.
Yes.
So, again, thanks for hopping in and
thanks for
having
flying
some
out.
conversations with us.
Right. Thank you, guys.
You're absolutely welcome anytime here. And we want to thank you, the viewer, for joining in again. It's been a great time, and we thank you for joining us. And guys, we will, we're going to see you next time.
We out.
Hey, this is ABJ of the ABJ Podcast, and you're listening to the Opinion City Wrestling with Live series exclusively on Patreon. Enjoy.
Thanks for watching this presentation. Like, share, and subscribe for more.